but the time, where does it go?
Today is gonna be that day. Gonna have things go my way. Embroidering fashion that sells. Using all my knowledge, I will excel. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. I search the web for a magical design. Looking high and low as I sip on my wine. Metallic thread, watch it shimmer and shine. I transform my blanks into a one-of-a-kind. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back for another Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. All righty, let's see who we have out there. I see people from Maryland. I see North Central Texas. I see Lake Ridge, Virginia. Hello out there. Awesome. San Antonio, Texas. Good morning, Ohio. All righty, awesome. Okay, Illinois. Awesome. We've got people from all over the place. And good morning to you. It is happy Thursday. Just one more day to go. And the work week will be done for those of us who are still working. Woohoo! All righty, we've got Louisiana here. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Thank you guys all. I really appreciate all of your support. We've got Alabama over here too. Awesome. Good morning. All righty. Hello out there and welcome for another new day. Now, if you're tuning in for the very first time, let us know in the chat because we've got, a really friendly community here and we really love to welcome you all and really invite you to participate in the chat and share all kinds of tips, tricks, ideas. We do that on this channel and we meet on a daily basis and we just have lots of fun crafting. I gotta get my craft in before I head out to work. So I really like to get this done and I'm really excited because we are finishing up a project and we are in Christmas in July, if you haven't noticed from the music and the thumbnails. And we just have a really fantastic time. So we had another little mix for you this morning. I hope you caught it and I hope you enjoyed that. Again, just a reminder, we have CDs available on our shop if you're interested in any of the songs that we play. So, alrighty, Fort Worth, Texas. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Alrighty, let's see, Indiana. is in here as well. Good morning, Quilting with Harriet. How are you? Hey, Sue, Leslie, Robin, Lisa, JBL, Becky, Faker, McFaig, Jenny Owens, Leslie B. I'm not sure if I missed anyone else. Evelyn, Colleen, Barbara, Joyce, on and on and on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I just so appreciate all of your support. All righty. So first things first, guys, go ahead and grab that little drink. You know what I'm talking about, that little anything that you have in the morning, whether it be soda, coffee, water, whatever it is. We don't have any judgment here. Go ahead and raise that glass and let's give ourselves a toast of another wonderful day. I'm going to grab my little sip here of water. Feels good. Water in the morning. Gotta have it. Really picks me up and gets me going. Once I'm done with my water, I'll have a little bit of coffee as well. But, you know, I start the day off with the water. Wakes me right up. Alrighty. So I know you guys are hungry. We didn't have our snacks yesterday. So go ahead and get your snacks. I think we've got our little food cart. We're going to get in a little bit of exercise here. Let's get our food cart coming. Yeah, there it is, down the road. Here we go. We've got our little food cart, and this little stand has just about anything that you would like. So coffee, tea, donuts, muffins. We've even got some soda and croissants, and don't forget we also have some stuff for those healthy folks out there. We've got the carrots and the kale. So go ahead, grab your snack. It's all virtual and no calories. So we've got anything that you want in that cart. So go ahead and grab that. Get yourself in your little cozy spot and grab your favorite little drink. And we are ready to go. Alrighty. Joyce says that the songs stay in your head all day long. Awesome. Well, it just keeps you in a good mood all day, right? Awesome. Alrighty. Yay, go Harvey. So guys, I've got some family members on here watching me too. So yes, she's saying hello to hubby. So we know hubby is back there doing all the work. And I have to tell you, this morning he was up again last night, did a little bit more work on our shop. So go ahead and check it out. He's gonna, you know, he's got this knack for always looking out for deals. He loves to look out for deals. That's his little specialty there. So he is on the hunt, looking out for deals. Prime Day is still here, and he's constantly updating the shop. So go ahead and check out and see what new things you have out there. He's only putting things that are really, really good deals. All right. If it's just like 5% off or something, we're not going to put it there. That's not real saving money. We're talking about saving some big bucks, right? So all of that stuff is out on the shop if you want to check that out. Also, today is a special day. This is our 50th. 50. Yes, I can't believe our 50th live here on our daily show. Now, we've been doing Saturday Crafternoons for a very long time, but for the morning shows, this is the 50th one. So yeah, excited about that. And thank you guys for supporting this and being here with us this morning. I really appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All righty. Yay. Way to go, Mr. H. Yes, Jenny, thank you. See, they're giving you compliments. Look at that.
I love y'all.
Alrighty, so let's get right to it, shall we? We've got quite a number of things to do. So I was up a little late yesterday because I wanted to get a lot of the cutting done. So, you know, we've been working on our little quilts here. And if you haven't been around lately, we are doing the Designs by Juju Holly Jolly Christmas quilt. And of course, I've got family members on here, so don't tell Ava and don't tell Lily, but they're getting a Holly Jolly Christmas quilt. So this is what it looks like here. It's a Holly Jolly Christmas quilt. This is an embroidered quilt. You can do this on your hoop. And for those of you who have small embroidery machines, if you got a 5x7 hoop, you can definitely do this because that's what I'm doing it with. So follow along, and it's really simple and easy to do. If you've got a scan and cut, I'm able to tell you that doing it on the scan and cut is even faster because you can cut out all the pieces and you don't have to do them by hand. That's wonderful. But if you don't have a scan and cut, you can always do it the old-fashioned way too, and just take the project off the hoop and cut the fabric pieces around it once the system is telling you to do so, right? So we're going to be also looking at this in brilliance. So we've been kind of checking it out, looking at the design in brilliance, and also kind of understanding all the embroidery pieces that are involved in a specific design. And I want to do that with you today because we're going to talk about the sashing and the cornerstone blocks. We've talked about the fabrics to them yesterday and how I made some changes. Well, there was a couple more changes I needed to make last night, and this had to do with the thread, the colors, and the overall design of the system. So we're going to take a look at all of that in brilliance, and then we're going to show you what the output was. So stay tuned for that. Now, before we get to all of that, we got to get to our crafting news, right? We all love our crafting news. We need to know what's going on out there. There may be a thing or two that's in your area, so let's check this out. Alrighty, so where are my people from Missouri? Okay, if you're in Missouri, you're in luck. We've got an annual Nottoway County Fair Quilt Show, and that's back again. And it's happening, guess what? Today. And it's all the way through Saturday, and it's at the Rose Theater downtown. Now, this year's show is being hosted by the folks at, let's see if I get this name right, Furlaknet? I just can't say that word. We reviewed it a couple times, but I just can't say that word. It's Furlaknet. It's really hard to say. That's a tongue twister. I'll just keep going. Okay, it's just amazing. It's full of a lot of heart, color, and creativity. Now, the quilts they're going to have there are going to be on display, and they're hand-stitched heirlooms. They're running from baby quilts. They're doing t-shirt quilts, and they even have some fiber arts and some youth projects that they're going to be displaying. So something special in every single little stitch out there. So visitors can stop by and they can vote for the People's Choice favorite, and the judges will also choose an overall winner. Okay, they're going to have the Furlaknet Farm Floozies. Yeah, that's their real name. This is really a tongue twister story, I can tell you that one. Now, they have made 2 gorgeous quilts for a raffle to raise money for the Rose Theater. And tickets just start at $1. The winners will be announced on Saturday at 6 p.m. Now, the viewing hours are between tonight and Friday from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and on Saturday from 3 to 7 p.m. And you'll find all of that at the show at the Rose Theater. So go, if you're nearby, go ahead and check that out and support your local theater. It's awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go over now to Wisconsin. And we're going to go to the Prairie Farm in Wisconsin this weekend. And they're having a quilting event. Now, you definitely don't want to miss this one. It's called the Hay River Quilters. And they are hosting their 27th annual Quilts Along the River show. Now, this is during the Prairie Farm Dairy Days. And this year, they moved this over to a new venue at the Prairie Farm, and this is in their community center. So this year, the Scrapping Along the River will showcase and highlight a very special piece that's called the Journey's End Quilt. Now, this is really a nice tribute that's kind of aimed at creativity, storytelling, quilting traditions that are being passed down to many different generations. And the show hours for that is going to be on Saturday, July the 12th from 9 to 4 p.m. and then on Sunday, the 13th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Of course, they're going to have all kinds of different quilts, styles, colors, and sizes. And whether you're a quilter yourself or you just simply love to kind of see all the different quilts, I think you're going to have a wonderful time. So go ahead and check those out. Take a lot of pictures and put them on our Facebook group if you go to any of these events, because we really love to see them, right? I find all of these events from all around the world, and if any of you guys attend them, let me know and put some pictures out there, because that's really exciting to see. Okay. That's our crafting news, and we got that out of the way. So let's head over now to our project, because we have quite a number of things to talk about. So I'm going to start off by just kind of showing you a couple of things here. Now, I have this all clipped together, and this is something that you can do to help kind of visualize your project here. And so you can see this here, and I'll kind of put that together, right? You can see here that I have one of the blocks, which is the reindeer block. That's one of the very first ones that we stitched out. You also have a little piece of the sashing that is going to be above it, behind it, and on the sides of it, right? So it's going to be surrounded by the sashing. So one of the things that I did earlier was I took the actual fabric and I kind of played around with it to make sure that I wanted this fabric to be around it. And I thought, you know, it would look good. So kind of showcase your fabrics, audition them, make sure that they're going to be a fit for the project that you do. So I always recommend that you do that. So we went ahead and we did this, and we were really happy with what this looks like. And we even took the little cornerstones, which is a different fabric here. And you can see here, if I put this here on the side, you're going to see what that'll look like, right? It's obviously going to be a little shorter. So it'll be something like this, right? But one of the things that you have to do is, yes, you will audition your fabrics this way. But then when you actually stitch it, you still have to be flexible enough to kind of move things around and change it. Because one of the things I wasn't too crazy about was the embroidery that is on the sashing fabric. Because my sashing already has a particular design. So my eyes, when you're looking at the quilt, your eyes kind of tend to look at the sashing on its own, and it's great. You know, it stands out there, looks great on its own. And then you're adding some embroidery work to it, which kind of takes away a little bit. But I had to kind of make some adjustments because I still wanted to use this fabric as my sashing, but you can see the embroidery work takes away a little bit from the actual fabric that you're using. And the color that the design was telling me to use really didn't work with my color group. So I did make some adjustments, and this is something that you can do as well, depending on your fabric selection. And so I want to show you a little bit of that. And let's take a look at how that looks like in Embrilliance and what you can do to make some changes to your project. Because it's pretty important on being able to visually see what your quilt's going to look like. You can visually see what that looks like. And then when you actually stitch it out and you have it put together with any embroidery work that may be on it, you may want to change your mind on your actual fabric. So before you cut out all your pieces of fabric, you always want to audition something first. But let's go over to Embrilliance. I'm going to show you how you can do that a little bit more as well. So let's go to our laptops here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up our Embrilliance. And this is one of the designs. And so when you open it up and you bring it into Embrilliance on the objects panel, you're going to see it all grouped together here. Just hit the little plus sign so you can see all the little layers that make up that design. And so in this particular design, the sashings are laid out horizontally on a 5x7 hoop, because that is the hoop size that I use for my machine. I am using the Brother SC1900, which is behind me, and that's what I use to do this quilt. Now, you'll see here, you've got all 3 horizontal pieces of sashing. So it lets you do 3 at a time. I believe it's a total of about 30 that you're going to need for this quilt. And it all looks just fine on the computer here, but you have to kind of imagine it with your fabric. Now, if you have software like EQ8, which will allow you to kind of take pictures of your fabric and bring it into the system and you can actually see what it looks like, that's absolutely wonderful. But a lot of people don't have that software. They are pretty expensive. So if you don't have that, what do you do and how do you audition it? Well, we've already looked at how you can do it visually, right? You can just lay your fabrics out, put your design, put it next to the design and see what it looks like. But you also have to think about the embroidery work itself. So in this particular case, we have all these snowflakes that are on here. And the file itself, if you look at your colors down here, it's looking like these little snowflakes are going to be embroidered in blue thread. And that really just doesn't work with my color scheme, right? My sashing is green and I've got that white background on the actual block itself, and the cornerstones are going to be a different shade of green as well. And so bringing blue into the mix really just is not going to do well, and it's not really going to showcase the snowflakes, because this blue is going to be hidden inside that green fabric. It's going to be dark on dark, and you're really not going to be able to see the snowflakes very well. So I do need to change this color, and in my case, I changed it to a white thread, because that's I could do white, or I could do something that's really bright that's going to make it stand out. White to me was the best one to be able to use for my particular fabrics. But you have to kind of look at a contrasting color to the fabric selected that you made for this project, right? So if you got a dark fabric, you want to do a light thread. If you have a light fabric, you want to do a dark thread, right? So you want something to contrast so it can really stand out. So how do we do that? And how do we know what it's going to look like? Well, if I go over here, and you'll see all the layers. And before I even get to that, let me just show you the layers here. So when you stitch this one out, let's look at the order first. You've got deep rose. That, of course, is going to be your placement stitch. The dark olive is going to be your tack down stitch. That's going to tack down the batting that you're placing down. Then it's going to be this electric blue color, which you'll notice on here, and it shows it. And let me see if I can zoom in so you guys can see that just a little bit here. When I am clicked on, let me just back out a little bit here. There we go. So when I am clicked onto this deep rose, the line that it is referring to is this inner line, right? I'm sorry, the outer line, right? Then you have the dark olive, and then you have the electric blue. Notice that you're going to have the placement line, which is first. You're going to have the dark olive and the electric blue, which are tacked down lines. But you've got 2 lines here. You've got an outer border and an inner border. That outer border right there is going to be your placement line. So when you're looking at fabric and cutting the fabric to size, which is why it's good to kind of use your scan and cut, make sure that you don't cut it to the size of your inner line here, right? You always want to use the placement line when you are sending it over to your scan and cut, because if you use the tack down line, your fabric's going to be a little too short. It's going to be short this much right here, because you do have the two lines. So make a note of that if you are using that on your scanning cut. Make sure you're using the deep rose line here, which is the very first one, which is your placement line. Okay. Okay. So now let's go over to the actual, there we are, to the actual snowflakes. So if we look at the snowflakes and we go over to the bottom portion of the objects panel, you're going to have a little section here called properties. And properties is going to have 3 different tabs. It's going to say the color, the stitches, and some notes. So if you click on the stitches, you're not going to have too much of a selection here. Now, this is a design we purchased. We're not going to be editing the design or anything like that. But if you needed to change the density on here, this is where you would do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to focus on color. And you can see all the colors here that are listed for this particular design because I've got them all highlighted. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at just the snowflake. Yep, here we go. And I'm going to do this one here. So if I click on the snowflake by itself, you're going to see it's telling me it's using the Brother Embroidery blue color. That color is not going to work for me, so I'm going to click on color, and you're going to see all the different colors coming up. Now, there's multiple ways that you can search for a particular color that you may have in your stash, right? One way that you can do this is you can search by color, and you can sort it as well. You can sort it by name, or you can sort it by number. So every thread designs have a particular number theme that they have for their set. So let's take a look at, you guys know I was playing I was stitching away, and my bobbin ran out and had to order another set, right? So I ordered the sim thread. And so like I showed you guys before, when you have your sim thread, it is going to come with a simple color chart for you. And that color chart will have all of the colors that you purchased, right, that come in your kit. It's also going to have the name of the color as well as a number. And every thread company has their own set of numbers, right? And so it can become pretty confusing when you are starting to compare different threads from different companies because they all have different numbers. So in this particular set, let's say the color red is number 800 in SimThread. Number 800 in Candle or number 800 in Madeira thread is not particularly red. They don't run, the numbers themselves do not run all the way across different manufacturers of thread. They are specific to that particular manufacturer. So although you can go in here and you can go into the laptop, and in the laptop, you'll be able to select the manufacturer of your thread, and then you can kind of search for that particular number, or you can go ahead and you can just search for a color in general. So let's go over to the laptop. Can we do the laptop? Oh, there we go. Okay. So if we go over to the laptop and you click on that drop down, you're going to see all of kind of the top thread manufacturers that are out here. And of course, you'll see quite a few here for Madeira. You've got Brother Reed on here, and you've got all the different Coats and Clarks, all the different thread manufacturers out here. So you can pick something that is similar. Like they don't have sim thread in here, but they do have Brother Embroidery. So I can go ahead and click on that and I'll find something similar. But I can't expect that if I go in here and search for thread color 800, I will not expect that to be red, because again, it is very unique to each thread manufacturer. But I can go in here and search here and type in red if I wanted to. And it'll show me all the different reds that are available. And then I can, one of the things you can also do is look at the thread palettes, right? So if you click on the palette, it'll tell you that where that color really lands on the palette and the different options that you have within that palette. So I'm looking for red. Here are some options. It's telling me this is the color palette that you have for this particular design. And so it is listing it out here. And that's not something that I want to use. But you have the ability to go in here and just kind of play around with the different colors. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and change the snowflakes to be this deep rose color, right? Maybe I want to do that. Or maybe I want to change it to, I don't know. Let's see what we have here. Let's try gold. Yep, I'm not on threads. There we go. Let's try gold. And so here's some different gold colors. And so let's say I want to go ahead and look at this one called deep gold, and I can select that. And I can see that color here, but I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. So I maybe want to look at pink. You know, does this pink work for you? And so you can play around with the colors and you can kind of decide what's going to work for the particular fabric that you selected. And so I had to kind of do that. And at the end of the day, I ended up picking the white thread color because that's what really would work best with the matching fabric that I have. But I wanted to show you that you do have the ability to kind of go in here and just select different ones. Maybe you want this color here, right? Like a dark pink. Maybe you want to change this to, oh, I don't know, maybe silver. Right? So maybe you've got silver here. Maybe that'll look better for you, right? You just have to go in and play with the different color palettes. But the option is available here. If you just click on your color, you'll be able to bring it up and you can find all of the different thread manufacturers. Maybe you can pick the one that's closest to what you have if you don't see yours listed, or you can just play with the color or play with the different palettes themselves and see what's available out there. Okay, so don't be afraid to get into Embrilliance and kind of play around with the different options and see what they do. They also have, you know, here's the thread brand conversion. So is this, you can kind of set it, you know, Madeira thread, you know, it says use this as my preferred thread. This is something, an option that you can do, but you can go in here and you can select, let's say I have all Madeira thread, I can select that as my preferred brand. So automatically it'll come up and it will just show me Madeira thread. And I can make a selection from there. Well, thank you, Barbara. Yeah, great tip. Check it out because there's so many options on here that, you know, we tend to get these softwares and we forget to kind of explore and see other options that are out there. So try to explore in Embrilliance and see what's available. So you can kind of play around with different options and they may help you out here. So you can select any kind of brands that you may have. Maybe you've got candle thread. Here they go. They've got sim thread here. And I can use this as my preferred brand if I wanted to, right? Or maybe you have multiple things of thread. Maybe you have a different manufacturers because you like all the different colors that each manufacturer has. You can easily come to this drop down list and just change it, right? And then just go ahead and hit OK. Okay, and so here it is now. I see all of my sim threads are on here, and I can search for the color. So now if I go to 800, I should be able to see it. So hold on one second. Whoops. Here we go. Color. And we've got sim thread. Oh, it's not exactly the one that I have, but that's okay. I can come in here and I'll see all the colors that they have. So if I go to number, this is actually showing me, because I can tell just from the numbers here, it has S045. That is the larger SimThread package. So SimThread has a set of 63 threads, which is what I have here. But they have another set that's even larger. It's 120 threads. And I believe there's one more that they have. I don't remember if it was 40 or not. But yeah. Oh, Quilting with Harry said, I kept an actual thread color card as a reference to see the color in the thread that I used. Yes. Then you can match to other brands. Yes. That's another thing that you can do. If you go into these manufacturer websites, you can actually purchase, a lot of them don't give it away for free, but they're not too expensive. You can get color charts sent to you, and what they are, and I do have one. I'll bring it tomorrow to show it to you, but I do have it from Azera Threads. It is a little booklet that they will send you, and within the booklet it has the actual threads, and they have each of the colors that they have available, and you're able to see the variegated threads as well. And so in those booklets you can actually see not just a picture of the color of the thread, but the actual threads themselves. They're like little pieces that are put together, so you can really get a realistic view of what that color looks like, so you can really match it up to your project. So you know, those books are really amazing. They do help out a lot, especially if you are in the business of embroidering items and you kind of do this kind of on, you know, a daily basis. You're constantly trying to match projects in as people bring products to you. So if that's something that you do, I would recommend getting some color charts and keeping them on hand, so when the customer comes to you, you can actually take out the color chart and kind of compare it to the threads that they're looking at. So yes, that's absolutely wonderful tip. Thank you. Yes, Quilting with Harriet. Yeah, Cindy says she's got the Floriana actual chart. Yep, you love yours. Yeah, I've got the Madeira ones. I don't have one for SimThread. I was looking at it last night, and I almost purchased one, but I'm gonna hold off on just a little bit for that. Jenny has the dime color chart. Yes, you invested in the exquisite thread. Very well. Yes, it is really good if you've decided that a specific thread manufacturer is the one that you like. It is really good to kind of invest in those color charts if you are really doing a lot of embroidery, because I think it really does help. I do reference my little color chart quite a lot, but although it is a really nice chart, and you can find this online as well if you end up losing yours, and they do have a great conversion chart in the back, you do have a great idea of what the color looks like just looking at the chart, but nothing is better than seeing the actual threads themselves. Pictures are nice, but the actual color charts are really great when you have the threads right out there in front of you, because you've got like a little bit of glares and things like that, and sometimes the picture just doesn't pick up the exact color that you're looking for. So yeah, awesome. Okay, so those are some of the options that are available out there that you can take a look at in your laptop here. Just going through all of the multiple colors that you'll see here, and you know, selecting it that way, looking at the different palettes that are out there. You know, you can definitely play around with the options so you can see what you have to pick from. Okay, so after we've done that, we selected the white thread is what we ended up doing. And so I went ahead, let me unclip this here. We went ahead and we embroidered the first hooping of the sashing. And this was a little bit tricky. So when you are hooping the sashing, and yes, I have a little bit of selvage here because I know I'm going to cut this off, so I'm trying to save fabric. So when you're setting this up, the way the design is set up, again, you can run the simulator to see how your design is going to stitch out before you actually put it on your machine and stitch it out. You're going to notice that the design itself is going to run through the very first box up on the top of your hoop. But you think just by looking at it that you're going to be able to do all three of them, put one nice big piece of batting and then tack it down and cut it all out. But that's not how the design was made. It's actually making each sashing piece from start to finish before it tackles the second one. So we went ahead and we did all our cuts, and I've got all of my cuts here. Let me move this over. Oops, almost losing one there. Here we are. Let me bring that over. So I've got here on my little design board, I've got all of my cuts, and let me just move my laptop over. I got all my cuts here. This is all the cuts for the sashing. We've got the batting, the cornerstone batting, the sashing batting. The cornerstones themselves are all completely cut up. It is quite a lot of cutting. And then we have the sashing as well. That's what you're going to need, these 4 pieces here, in order to do your sashing and your cornerstones on the hoop. Make sure you cut out your batting and the fabric itself according to the directions in the design. But when you put it onto your hoop, just know that it is going to stitch out from start to finish the first piece right here. Once that is done, what you're going to need to do before you start stitching the second placement line for that second design, you need to take the fabric and fold it over here and put a little piece of tape or a pin or whatever it is that you want to make sure that this flap right here is kept out of the way. You are not going to take your scissors and cut the fabric piece off. We still need this extra piece behind here because remember, we're going to start putting this together. So when we put it together, you're going to do right sides together and you need something to stitch on, right? We need that 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch seam allowance. And so you need to leave this piece of fabric out. So your first piece is going to look like this, where you're going to have some fabric up on the top and up on the bottom and on the sides. Okay, now we're going to trim this off because we are only going to need a 1/2 inch all the way around. And so we will be trimming this off, but I don't want you to trim off the fabric while you're in your hoop, right? All you're going to do is fold it over, maybe put a little piece of tape on here, something to kind of hold it down so that then when the machine starts to stitch out the second one, it's not going to touch this fabric. It's going to be out of the way. You need to put it out of the way. Once you do that, it will start the second design and stitch that down. And then you'll need to do the same thing again when it starts the third one. You'll need to fold this piece over and keep it out of the way. And then it will start to stitch out this last piece. Okay. Once you have that in place and all 3 are complete, you take it off your hoop and you are not cutting the fabric just yet. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting the stabilizer only to separate these, right? So we're going to go in between here, and I'm just going to cut right in the middle here and just separate these all together. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and grab my ruler here, and I'm going to fold this over. and fold the other one over so it exposes only the stabilizer. And I'm just going to put my ruler down here. Now I've got about an inch in between the two of them. So I'm going to make sure I do about half an inch, and that'll put me right in the middle. And again, I am only cutting the stabilizer. So if you need to grab some tape, you can grab some painter's tape, you can grab regular tape, anything to hold it down. If you want to use some clips, you can do that as well. You know, anything that you need to do to keep it out of the way so that you do not cut your fabric. Okay, we can do that. Then we'll take a little piece of painter's tape right in the middle just to keep this fabric out of my way. Okay, now I'm not going to put anything on this bottom one because the weight of the ruler is going to hold it down for me, and it will be out of my way. So this is how I kind of set it up to make that cut. Okay, now I can just grab my rotary cutter, and I'm going to just go ahead and line up my ½ mark against the edge of my fabric. So line that up, make sure that is nice and straight, and hold down your ruler, put a little bit of pressure, then go ahead and get your rotary cutter, and you make sure that you are cutting only the stabilizer, okay? So we're going to start here, and then just move your hands down as you go. Okay, that downward pressure. Then go ahead and separate it. After you've separated it, then you can lift up your ruler, okay? Try to separate first just to make sure that you got a nice clean cut. Okay, so now you can kind of put this down, and we're going to go ahead and kind of cut the rest of this out, making sure that we are only going to cut a ½ inch all the way around. So now that we've separated it and it's on its own, I know that I need a ½ inch seam allowance, a ½ inch fabric all the way around. So I want to make sure that I line that up. So I'm going to take the line of the actual stitch, so my stitch line here, I'm going to line that up with the ruler, and I'm going to use one of the corners here to line up my ruler at that ½ inch mark. So I'm using this corner right here to line up both horizontally as well as vertically. Okay, making sure my ruler is aligned with the stitch line of the actual design. So go ahead and line that up. And it's a little difficult for me to do sitting down, so I just may have to get up just a little bit. Apologies if my head is in the way. And I'm going to make sure that my ruler, again, is lined up in that corner. And I'm also checking the bottom corner here, because you don't want your ruler to be good on one side and not good on the other, right? We want to make sure this is nice and straight. So I am following that stitch line, and I am lining up my ruler against that stitch line. Okay, once I have that all lined up, I want to make sure I'm only a ½ inch away. And then once I have that ½ inch mark, oops, sorry, just moved it a little bit here. There we go. So I am now a ½ inch away from my stitch line against the edge here. And I'm squared off going horizontally, and I'm squared off vertically, and I'm checking my bottom here that it's lined up horizontally as well. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler and get that downward pressure, grab my rotary cutter, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that piece off. That is the excess that we need to cut off there, okay? And now what's left is what we're going to be using as part of being able to assemble this together later on. So we're going to do that going all the way around. So I'm just going to go around here again, 1/2 inch all the way around, checking your ruler on the bottom and on the sides, making sure everything is nice and squared. Downward pressure. We're going to cut the fabric and the stabilizer because we've already separated it from the other two. Then go ahead and turn it around. And this is why I didn't care that I had my selvage here, because I knew I was going to trim that off. So was not worried about that at all and wanted to use the most of my fabrics. So here we are. And one last side here. Again, really important, even if it's just the side piece that you're cutting, make sure that you are lined up. That way it's cut nice and straight. And make sure that you're putting that downward pressure on here as well. Okay. So there we have it. This is our first sashing piece that we're going to be putting right next to the reindeer. Okay, so this little flap that we have is what we're going to be using to sew. And so he'll have his first little piece here. And he'll have this kind of all around him. So you'll have all 4 sides will have the sashing here. And then afterwards, we're going to add the cornerstone as well. So I'm going to get all of my sashing cut and put together. And then I'm going to do my cornerstones as well. That one is going to look like this once you have it off the hoop. Same concept, okay? You're also going to have multiple ones on the hoop, and you will have to tack down that fabric before that second placement line goes. That way it is out of the way. Do not cut your fabric on here. Make sure that these are out of the way. Tape this down so that your second one can then stitch out. And at the end, it's going to look something like this. Kind of a little bit of a hot mess, you think, right? But once you cut away your stabilizer, you're going to end up with an independent piece. And then from that independent piece, again, you're going to be cutting a 1/2 inch all the way around. And so once we have that in place, we're going to have all our pieces together and we can start sewing this together and then putting and assembling the quilt all together. Let's see. Barbara says, does the pattern want you to leave the stabilizer in the seam? You can. I actually like leaving my stabilizer. It gives it a little bit extra. However, it really depends on your machine. The pattern itself will tell you to cut the stabilizer off. And that's good because some machines are not able to handle the bulk very well. So you can fold off and trim away just the stabilizer. You can do that all the way around. I'm kind of taking a little bit of the lazy way approach on this because you can take this and here's 2 ways of thinking about it, okay? You've got 2 layers of stabilizer and you've got your fabric on top. You're going to be sewing this onto your block or your cornerstone, right? And those pieces are also going to have 2 layers of stabilizer and a piece of fabric on top. So in essence, you're going to be putting together 4 pieces of stabilizers and 2 pieces of fabric. All of that is going to be sewn together. That's pretty bulky. I know my machine can handle it, but some may not. So it really depends on your machine. If your machine really doesn't handle bulk very well, then I would recommend you go ahead and cut the stabilizer, trim it all the way down. That way you are only dealing with your fabric on top as well as the other fabric that'll be, let's say, for the block on here, because on top of the block you also have your SF101 that we put on here, right? We added that additional piece so that we didn't get any puckering, which worked pretty well because we didn't get any puckering at all. Okay, so you want to make sure that you do that. But if your machine can handle it, then it really won't make a difference. Then you can go ahead and sew on it. But if your machine can't handle a lot of bulk, then yeah, I would trim away the stabilizer all the way to the edge. That way you don't have any issues later when you're starting to assemble the quilt together and you have less bulk to deal with, right? So kind of a matter of preference, a matter of what your machine can do as well. They do recommend that you cut the stabilizer, which I would agree with them because, you know, you don't know what type of machine everyone has. So it's really up to you. Okay. Now, I know we're running pretty low on time. I just wanted to show you the 2 additional blocks that I was able to stitch out, and that is the Santa sleigh. And those are here. Let me fold it over so you can see what it'll look like when it's kind of put together. You'll see that's the entire sleigh. And this one was a pretty simple design. Same steps that we've done with the other blocks. I used sand and cut, removed all of the embroidery work and left just the applique pieces. This is a nice one to have it stitch out for you. It's got really thin pieces of fabric here. So this one was a little tricky here. You've really got to make sure that your mat is very sticky to get that in. Once you have this all tacked down, you've got your red for the sleigh. You have the bottom rail and as well as the top rail. So you've got 3 pieces that you need to put together, and then everything else was just embroidered. So all of that gets stitched out, and once we have all our blocks, which we're almost there, we can start really assembling this together, which is why I wanted to get a jump start on the sashing and on the cornerstones. Alrighty, so we're running really low on time. Let's go over to our inspirational quote of the day. Okay, so for today's inspiration, we have choosing your own colors turns a pattern into a personal work of art. And that's exactly what we did here today. Changing colors, changing different things to make it your own. You don't really have to follow the pattern step by step. Try changing it up a little and give yourself a little bit of a challenge and make it your own. Okay, so guys, we are at the hour, and I want to thank you guys for all your support and being here with me today. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I'm not too sure if Becky's going to be on today. I did not see her thumbnail out, but I will scan to see if she's there. For those of you that kind of continue on with other YouTubers out there, I would encourage you to watch Power Tools with Threads because she's awesome. Alrighty, well, thank you guys. I truly appreciate that. I'm glad you love it. And, you know, I think it's just a fun quilt. And I have, you know, some family members that are going to be receiving the quilt. And I think it's just adorable. I think it's coming out really, really cute. And I'm really excited about this. So it's going to be an amazing quilt once we are all done, right? Okay, so thank you guys again for tuning in. I really appreciate you coming and kind of lifting up my day here. It's a little bit stormy outside, so I appreciate you being here and lift up my spirits because it's going to be a fantastic day. I hope you guys really have a great one, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.